Remove this block, love block, and love will chase you. And I promise you it will happen. So I'm really excited to be sharing my favorite coach on the planet, Sabrina Rising, to the group.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to be here.
Yeah.
Love
So,
being here.
okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I love being here with everybody.
Yeah. Well, we love having you. So, okay, Sabrina, I hear the following all day long. Dating apps are useless. There are no good men and women out there. I'm too old for a relationship. I'm not good looking enough for love. I live in the wrong city. My ex is the best chemistry I ever had. And the list goes on and on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, those are not truths. Those are all limiting beliefs.
Yeah. So are those blocks to love?
1,000%. I mean, there's many blocks to love. Limiting beliefs is a major one, right?
Yeah.
What's possible for you if you're living in the past and living in the, in the lack and uncertainty, in the it's never going to happen, or there's no good men, and all the things that you listed, your mindset is limited. And if your mindset is limited, I mean, look, what we think about, we bring about. And so if you don't believe that there's someone out there for you, or if you've had a lot of, disappointment in love, and that's going to jade your belief system, it's going to tamper with your ability to feel positive and hopeful about love. And you're allowing that to you're allowing that to limit you, and you're going to manifest the evidence of that. If you believe there's no good men out there, there's no good men out there.
So, all right. So can I challenge you on this a little bit?
Of course, please.
Okay. So, I mean, listen, it is okay. The dating marketplace is like the Hunger Games. Okay. I just want to own it. It is, we are swimming in a sea of dysfunctional human beings. Yeah. I think we have to own that reality. This isn't meant to criticize or judge or anything like that, but human pair bonding isn't a very successful technology, given how many divorces there are, given how many unhappy relationships there are. So, and I know you're going to say that's a limiting belief, but that's a fact.
Huh? You're full of them.
What do you mean I'm full of them?
You just said that it's a Hunger Games, that it's hard to do, that it's full of divorce. It's like but do you hear it? This is your unconscious talking to you. We see
no, hear me out. Where's the difference between that's a reality versus that's a limiting belief?
Okay, so your reality is contingent upon your belief system. You can have two people living in the exact same world, the exact same time, at this time and place in our universe, the exact same age, exact same circumstances, two completely different set of beliefs, two completely different set of realities.
Well, first off, you're divorced, so it's not like you didn't have unsuccessful relationships.
That's right. I had unsuccessful relationships, and I learned how to unblock myself. Right. So I didn't, I'm in a very successful relationship now, and I had to.
Wait. Show your ring. Show your ring. Everybody, Sabrina's engaged.
Thank you, John.
I'm excited because Bo's a great guy. Now, and listen, Sabrina, I'm not being argumentative here, because I know this conversation we're going to have. I guess I want to really differentiate between some truths to what I just said. And I jokingly say it's the Hunger Games, but the fact is human pair bonding is rather complicated, and a lot of people aren't good at it. That's a fact. Okay. That's not a belief.
Here's what I want to say. Human pair bonding can be easy, and it can be simple. It can be, fun. Yeah. It can be exciting. It can be all of those things. We just really need to do the work to unblock ourselves and to become magnetic to love. Right? When this is what we're talking about tonight, is how to become a love magnet. You become a love magnet by putting down all your limiting beliefs and dealing with your own self-worth.
Yeah.
Right. And dealing with self-worth can look like so many things. It can mean forgiveness. If you're harboring resentments, love is not going to find you. At least not the quality of love that's sustainable and long-term, and the kind that's really going to meet your needs. Okay. If you're harboring resentments, this is number one, do your forgiveness work. Okay. Yeah. Aw, thank you.
I'll put it back there.
Yeah. And I appreciate it. So if you're harboring resentments, that's a really tangible thing you can go to work on. Move into a state of forgiveness. Bring more love into your own heart, more love into your own body, right?
Yeah.
Let go of those past wounds, those past hurts. Let those people off the hook. Because the one suffering is you. Right.
Yeah.
If you have fear and you don't feel safe in love, then there are some somatic exercises you can do to help regulate your nervous system to create feeling safe and secure in love. Right.
Yeah.
Especially if you've had abusive relationships in your past, whether they were psychological or physical or emotional. These are things that we need to heal in order to bring ourselves online with I'm worthy of love. And I'm worthy of love because I know that I'm lovable. Right. Once we start to embody these principles and it becomes who we really are and we believe them. Exactly. Mindset is everything. But here's the thing. Mindset is sets the tone for everything. And you still have to do the body work. You still have to take the actions, right? You still have to do all the things to get into alignment, because you can have a belief that love is possible for me. I'm lovable. There is someone out there for me. I can attract someone. I mean, my story is a perfect example. Example of this. I moved to a small town in the middle of, of nowhere for me, by my standards, having been born and raised in a city, and, where it's mostly families, kids and couples and so on. And, I do a very unique type of job, as as an intuitive guide.
Wait a minute. You're not talking about when you lived down here, was it?
No, I'm talking about when I moved up where I am now.
Oh,
right?
okay. Oh, yeah.
I moved to a community that's full of families. I mean, I could have been the one who says there's nobody here. There's no good men here. There's nobody like-minded. There's nobody who shares my spiritual values or my spiritual beliefs. Finding a man in my age category who's a single dad, who's dedicated to his kids, who loves the same things I do, who has the same kind of work life freedom and balance and so on. Like, where am I going to find that in the middle of this town when it's all families, right? And so, my current fiance was living 9 minutes away from me. 9 minutes away. I'm not kidding.
I would walk to each other.
There's nobody here. I held on to that for a hot minute, and then I was like, this is, of course, I do my own work. And I was like, this is a limiting belief, right? So I brought myself online, and when I was fully ready to call in a partner, because I had some of my own healing work to do from past relationships. But when I was fully ready to call in a partner, I created exactly the ideal person, because I felt like I was worthy of this ideal person.
Yeah.
You want to get to a place in your process where you're like, I just want someone who can give me what I bring, right?
Yeah.
Someone who can meet me in love, someone who's an energetic equal, right? Now be careful, because we're always attracting energetic equals. We just want to make sure where we are in our energy.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you're in an energy of, low self-worth and, scared and unsure and not loving yourself and doubting your beauty and doubting your intelligence and doubting your marketability, as a single person and so on, you're going to manifest the evidence of that. I mean, it's just that simple. Removing the blocks to love means getting serious about loving yourself fully and wholeheartedly, not just these are nice things to say. Oh, I love myself. The conscious mind is only responsible for 10% of what we're creating. If you're not doing the subconscious work to rewire your brain to get you online with being fully embodied in love, I am worthy of love. You stop those destructive behaviors. You start taking care of yourself. You start doing all the things that Jonathan, like, the things that keep you healthy and that keep you vibrant and feeling, acts of self-care and self-love, right? So when we fully engage in those, it transforms our energy, and then we're able to attract what it is that we want.
So just for everyone, since the title is Remove This Block, the block we're speaking of, when I'm hearing this correctly, it's not feeling worthy. Is that like the primary block?
That's the primary block. That's the primary block to everything, by the way.
Right.
It's
love.
It's money. It's success. It's all the things. The primary block is just a lack of self-worth. And just doubting themselves.
Now the title is Love Will Chase You. And you and I even, argued a little bit because we don't like the idea of being chased. But what that represents is you'll be more of a manifester. You'll be more of a magnetic attractor when you've worked and healed this block. Does that
Yes.
resonate with you? Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course. I mean, look, we're always attracting all the time. You
Yeah.
know, if you are a lonely person and you're dwelling on being alone and you're focused on being alone and you've become accustomed to living a lonely life, you're
Yeah.
going to attract more opportunities to be alone.
Yeah.
You know, if you are an angry person with tons of justifiable resentments and lots of hostility and lots of resentment around, in your life, you're going to attract relationships that trigger these feelings, or you're going to attract situations and experiences that trigger these feelings. So it really just depends on where you're at. If you're in a happy, joyful, I'm worthy of love place, right? I am lovable, and I'm amazing for all the things that you're amazing. Everybody should make a list of all the things that they love about themselves.
Yeah. Well, I want to share something, and you and I briefly spoke of this, but I want to kind of elaborate a little bit. A few weeks back, I connected with a woman online, and we really connected. Like, I mean, when I say online, we met online and then we spoke on the phone and we did some Zoom calls, and it was a very effortless, easy conversation. We seemed to like boxes were being checked off.
I know. Yeah.
And then it was within a week we physically met, and unfortunately an important box didn't get checked off when we met. There wasn't that attraction. She said mostly on her part, and I kind of, in retrospect now, kind of feel like that was the same. But you know what's interesting to me, Sabrina, is I could have really gotten down from this whole experience. I could have said, I could have looked at it from a negative vantage point. I got this close to the finish line and it didn't work and all this stuff. And I could have actually probably even turned it in such a way that I could have even become bitter and jaded from this experience. But you know what, as I'm reflecting upon it right now, I had a lot of fun in the week. We were getting to know each other. And by the way, we've subsequently still remained friendly to one another. We're kind of like we're sharing our experiences after the fact with one another. But you know what it did? It made me more hopeful. In other words, I literally am embodying that energy because we really clicked in a real fun way.
Yeah.
The way we communicated with one another, even the way we text message one another was so aligned. It was fun. And not that I'm expecting the exact same thing in the future, but that energy, enthusiasm, I've actually carried that forward versus holding on to it. Holding on to it from a negative vantage point.
And I think that's beautiful. And I also think it's a testament to where you are in terms of your level of consciousness and awareness, self-awareness around love, and, staying in that perpetual state of infinite possibilities, regardless of what happens to you, requires skillfulness. It requires, a willingness to keep going it through the process and trusting that eventually, you'll end up exactly where you're supposed to be. Right. And one thing I want to say, though, that as I'm hearing you talk, is I would really not advise people to get so into the communication and the exchanges until there's actually been a physical meeting, because here's the thing about online dating is that it can create sort of this fantasy bond, or it can create this idealized idea of who you might be interacting with. Their picture, some people don't look like their pictures, or some people don't look like, there's just there's a different energy in person. Okay. And so I would really advise anyone who's dating online to just, connect, sort of check off mutual values and so on, maybe have a phone call just to make sure this person is not, there's this, to make sure you're safe, and this person feels like a safe, a viable opportunity, and then meet in person. Don't get into
and I feel like I have to justify myself for a second, is that there was distance involved. So the meeting as soon as possible. We met as soon as we could, which was within 6 days of our first phone call. And the thing is, we were just vibing well with one another. I'm always a big proponent of not engaging in overly incessant communication, especially for a long period of time when there's distance involved. I'm always advising not to do that. But what was also why I wanted to share that experience was even though it didn't work out, I was totally fine. In other words, I wasn't heartbroken. I didn't get invested in this person. Other than and actually the fact that we've actually remained, kind of like we're Instagram friends now more than anything. And we send each other some posts to each other. I am 100% in agreement with what you said, because I do believe people can engage in months, if not years, of communication with someone they've never met.
Wow.
If you're connecting online, meet as soon as possible. That's always a big priority in my coaching, and I always advocate for that. But why I brought this story up is, as you know, I'm coming off, it's been a little bit over a year now, almost a year and a half, since my last significant relationship ended. And for me, I realized that the deeper healing over this relationship happened in the exploration and the introspection I've done after the fact. I needed to go through this experience. I need to go through this relationship, but I also need to go through all the introspective work and the healing to be in a place where I genuinely, at least I think, I could be gaslighting myself, but I think I'm worthy of love.
Of course.
But I needed to go through the grief period. I need to go through doing the work. I worked with you. I worked with another coach. I did a lot of individual healing work, especially the root cause of what caused me to choose this relationship. And by the way, it was a good relationship. I really can't say anything wrong with it, other than we weren't aligned with each other. But I do, in my past, have a propensity of giving my power away because I don't feel worthy. And I do believe I did a lot of healing in this after the fact.
I mean, I know that you did, because first of all, we worked together. And so I know what the outcome of that container was. And I know that how committed you are to manifesting this. And this is what I want to say for anybody who's manifesting anything. And of course, tonight we're talking about love. So we'll keep it within that context. When you have an intention to bring something into your life, your higher self, the spiritual context for our living, breathing human experience, is that you are essentially calling in whatever process, whatever process you need to go through in order to manifest this thing in your life, right? If you say, I want to manifest, a loving relationship, guess what? You're going to have to interface with all the parts of you, consciously and unconsciously, that feel that you're unlovable, that believe you're unlovable. And that can show up in so many different ways. It can feel like the process isn't working, but it actually is, because it's showing you all the different ways in which you reject yourself, all the different ways you betray yourself, all the different ways in which you abandon yourself, and all the different ways in which you let yourself down. And so when we can look at those failed experiences as opportunities to love ourselves more, to fall deeper in love with ourselves, then we know that we're on the right track. And it doesn't look like it's not working. It looks like, I have a lot of work to do before I can get there, because it's really about loving yourself. It's really important that we emphasize this point, Jonathan. I know that you know this, and I know that it's probably in your book, and I know that you talk about this in your own coaching containers, but the key to attracting love is it's an inside job, right? It's about loving yourself fully and holding those standards for what you want in your life. Okay. Most of these failed relationships, or relationships the last 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, they're just, it's a lot. Oftentimes, and I see this in my own clients, is, we get to have some of our needs met, but not all of our needs met. And we go with the some because it's better than nothing. Right. And so we start to compromise what we really want and what we believe we can have, because we have such a deep need for connection, such a deep need for companionship, for a sense of being loved and belonging, right? That we will override our own needs. What is Bonnie saying?
That's a great point. Being in a relationship is a great place to find out what triggers you and have that still remain. I didn't want to interrupt your flow. No, I do have a question for you. So I would say, and I don't know how to articulate this as a block, but I want your perception on this. I think I have a tendency to go against my intuition.
And
Like,
why are you doing that?
well, because well, sometimes you just never know, right? Like, yeah, like you need the evidence. Well, this is okay. Hear me out for a
I can
second,
hear you out.
because I've kind of there have been times where I've interacted with someone. I go, God, my intuition says no, but I still like there's that curiosity piece in me that says, what if my intuition is off? And this is where I think I get hung up on because particularly as a projector, because we projectors need to be invited in. And that's so hard when you're raised in this masculine, men are supposed to climb to the highest room of the tallest tower. There's so much socialization and programming that it kind of fucks with me at times,
Right.
because I go against my intuition.
Okay, so you said a lot there. So let's just okay. So first of all, for those of you that aren't familiar with human design, a projector is a type of human design type. It's an energy type that is not really here to initiate. Okay, it's more here to accept invitations for guidance and for support. And projectors are here to sort of direct the energy. Okay, so I happen to be a projector too, which is one of the reasons why we're such good buddies. You don't have to just wait for the invitation. Okay. And this is for everybody. Like if you are seeing yourself and loving yourself and accepting yourself and embodying love and holding yourself in the frequency of I'm awesome, I'm amazing, I'm a catch, I have so much to offer. It's a privilege to date me. I'm a wonderful human being and I've got so much love to give. I'm so excited to give it to another person. These are all great affirmations, by the way, for those of you watching live.
Yeah.
The replay and write them down, put these into your subconscious mind and learn to embody this energy, because holding that frequency is going to fill you up with invitations. You're talking about love chasing you. You're going to get invitations left, right, and center if you're embodying this energy. Okay. That's number one. And as a man, it makes no difference if, you don't have to be the one who necessarily initiates. You can initiate in more subtle ways. It doesn't have to be, an aggressive initiation. It can be, sort of like an openness or, like finding things in common and so on, and sparking a conversation or, an invitation to friendship, and then see what happens. It's just, you override your intuition because there's deep down inside, there is a wounded child who really wants connection, wants connection and companionship, and is impatient. And little kids want what they want, and they want it now. We want what we
Christmas
want.
is coming up.
What's that?
Christmas
Exactly.
is coming up. Yeah.
We want it now. And that's, everybody has an inner child and everybody knows what I'm talking about. You want what you want and you want it now. You order your favorite thing online and you can't wait the delivery time it takes to get there. You're always checking, or, what I mean? Like, we get in line for something and we just can't wait till we get there because we're, we want it now, right? Like this is so natural. And such an innate part of human behavior. It's something that we have to master, is the art of patience, and honoring the gestation period, honoring that space of the void, or, perhaps we can refer to it as that, where it's between you and that place that you want to be, where you are right now, in the place where you really want to be. And if you can fill that void with your own self-love, care practices, and your own, self-awareness, and your own sort of embodiment of love, as we're talking about, exactly. Enjoy the journey.
Oh, by the way, okay, really quickly, we're going to take questions now. So Sabrina, really quickly, for everyone watching, if you have a question, write in the little chat box, write the word question for Sabrina or myself, and then post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $ in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name. My picture over there. My son, Connor Asley, that's a picture of him there with his brother, Colin. It's my son who passed away over 6 years ago. So as honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, scholarships to coaching as well. I actually plan on making a donation to Insight seminars soon. So I'd love to collect $50 tonight. If 25 of you just donated $2, we'll get there. And I did see a question that came up. So Annika wrote, can you see that?
Hi, Annika. Can I still attract the right partner if I'm still working on my self-worth, but have done a lot of healing already? You're going to attract, yes, the answer is yes. You're going to attract the person that is at your frequency. This is, universal law. Okay. So we're always attracting what we are, where we are, and along with all the good stuff and all the unhealed stuff. Okay. So you can still attract a partner. In fact, if your energy if you're putting your attention towards healing yourself and doing inner work and loving yourself more and practicing self-worth, you're going to attract someone who's also in that space, because that's where you're putting most of your attention. Energy flows where attention goes, right? So I want to give you some encouragement, Annika, and reassure you that yes, you are going to attract someone. You can attract someone. Nobody is completely healed, by the way. This is this is wrong thinking. Okay, so don't think it's like uh, I train facilitators in my job, and I get this question a lot, where it's like, well, how can I help someone, guide someone else if I'm not fully healed? It's the same type of question. You just need to know exactly what it is that works for you, what's working for you. You need to be in alignment with who you are, with your own values, with your own healing journey. And as long as you're on that trajectory, you're going to attract like-minded people. Okay.
Well, let me ask you something, Sabrina. I mean, let's say, Annika goes out on a date tomorrow, someone she connected with online, for argument's sake. And does that mean that the person that she's on a date with is on the same frequency with her? Or, and I have twofold to this question, because I think you could be on a frequency level with a person, but still not be aligned from a relationship perspective. So I have two questions there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So frequency is frequency. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I think, first of all, let's define attraction.
Yeah.
Okay. Because when there's a really strong pull towards someone and it's
Yeah.
mutual, okay, this is an energetic match. If it's
Yeah.
just someone you're attracted to and it's not completely mutual and it's, one-sided or, that kind of thing, this is not an energetic match. Okay.
Okay.
So attraction, we're talking about attraction where two people are really drawn to each other. There is an energetic match. Okay. And if you're both looking for a relationship, chances are you're going to have the same values, because everything is frequency. You can't
Okay.
have a frequency about one thing and a frequency about something else. It's just, let's keep it simple. We have an energetic signature when it
Okay.
comes to, self-worth that reflects every area of our lives. Whether that is, when you open up your heart to receiving love, you open up your heart to receiving money, to receiving opportunities, to receiving friendship, to receiving, acknowledgement and, opportunities to shine, opportunities to receive more. Receiving is receiving, right?
Yeah.
So you can't compartmentalize your frequency. You can't
Well,
say, yes.
I'm sorry. So, but I want to jump in. Using her as the example, she
Yes.
just went out with a date with a man. It's not the right fit.
Uh-huh.
Then why did she manifest this wrong fit? Maybe it might be a better way. Like, why would that happen?
Okay.
Like,
So,
why do we go out with the wrong people?
okay, because we have to really get good at vetting who it is that we say yes to by
Okay.
trusting our intuition, by listening to our bodies,
Okay.
right? Fully listening to our bodies, making sure that we're asking the right questions, okay?
Okay.
Not overriding our list of needs that we want to have met, whatever your non-negotiables are, just for the sake of connection. And people do this all the time. You see a really good-looking person and you think, I just want to go have a date with this person. You know what I mean? I just want to have a date with this person and not really think about, do they want children? Do they not want children? Are they a person who likes the beach? Do they like to, do they, yay.
Thank you for the $5 super sticker.
Are they a person who likes to
Basically,
travel? That kind of thing. Yes, by not being desperate, for sure. Well, and the thing is, we're desperate, and I want to give everybody some grace, because the reason why people are desperate, and I say this with love and compassion, is because we're lonely. We really long for connection.
Yeah.
Because we're not connected to ourselves, and so we're trying to get it from relationships. We're trying to reach out and have someone remind us and tell us that we're beautiful and that we're worthy and that we're special and that we're, that we're lovable. But you could do that for yourself. You could do that for yourself. And that's the work we need to do in order to attract the right person, Yay, super sticker.
All right. So, all right, let's go back to you and Bo for a second. Is
Sure.
that okay?
Of course.
So,
You asked
so
me to
you guys met in real life, which, by the way, these days is kind of rare, by the way.
We did. We met it, but okay, so I met Bo on a Zoom call first and foremost. That was the first
Okay.
time I ever laid eyes on him was on a Zoom call. We
Okay.
were invited to some healers event and
All
the
right.
community.
So when you met but then you met in person before it ever turned into a
Of
date.
course.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When did you start vetting him?
I had an entire day of vetting him.
Okay. All right. Tell us about the vetting day. Instead of
Okay.
the wedding day, the vetting day. Tell us about that.
That's too funny. You should use that.
I
So
know.
Bo and I ran into each. We were messaging each other on Instagram, letting each other know that we'd be at this local event.
Okay.
Local event for families. It's a fun thing, festival, festivities. They got lots of things for kids and so on. I knew he had kids and he knew I had a child. So I said, he asked me if I was going to be there and I said, sure. I said, I'm going to be there with my daughter. And he said, great, I'll be there with my kids. I'll see you there. Great. Perfect.
But you weren't thinking of it romantically,
Not
right?
at all. Not at all. Not, I mean, you meet someone and you think, like, you think, okay, this is interesting,
Yeah.
like there was an energy about this person, but I wasn't, was not at all like thinking along those lines. I didn't even know him.
Okay.
I'd never even met him yet. And so, when we met in person at the healing event, of course, I had a chance to interact with him a little bit and sort of feel his energy, and it was very nice. It was very lovely. It was very open, very genuine.
Yeah.
I'm also highly intuitive, and so I'm able to discern these things. And then when we saw each other at this family event, we met and the kids clicked and they went off and they played all day, and and I had a chance to sit down and get to know each other. We spent the entire day asking each other questions, right? And this is like, it was like
Did you ask? I mean,
hours. What?
did you ask tough? I mean, well, were you asking questions from a? I mean, I know you were doing it from a curiosity perspective, but you weren't really asking it from a potential romantic perspective, or were you?
Well, what's the difference?
Well,
If
I guess, like, are you looking for a relationship would be a big question you would ask someone. I mean,
Well, I didn't ask that question yet, but I
yeah,
was more interested in like getting to know him, who he
yeah,
was. And, I was noticing his dynamic with his children and how
yeah.
he was relating to them. And, I was like, there's so much that we were able to pick up on each other, just spending the whole day together.
Yes.
And so I asked him about his healing work, his healing journey, his past experiences. We just exchanged human design and astrology and all this stuff.
Okay.
We got into it, we
Yeah.
kind of went to, but when I go into this vortex where just all of a sudden the whole day flew by and we really had a chance to get to know each other. So we had chemistry.
Yeah.
And we had commonality. We had shared values. We already knew we were both in a healing community. So
Okay.
that's a big thing, and then we didn't have a one-to-one first date until a couple weeks after that.
Okay.
So because
Did you talk on the phone in between
did we talk on the phone in between?
or text?
I think we just texted because he invited me to his children's birthday party, and I brought my
Okay.
daughter,
Okay.
and we went, and it was a family affair. So
Yeah.
we always joke that the children led our relationship. They took the initiative for us.
I
But
have a dear friend, a couple. They met on the soccer field, but they each have a boy and a girl, and it turned out that the two girls were the same age and the two boys were the same age, and they went to the same school. They knew each other. Eventually, when they got married and moved in together, it was like they each got two brothers and sisters that were like the same age, perfectly aligned. It was like
that's what happened with Bo and I. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and he's got two 7-year-old twins. They're about to be 8. And
Okay.
so when we met, they're only 8 months apart in
Okay.
age. And so we have basically triplets. And so they have, instant siblings, and they all relate to each other. They all, play at the same level, and it's really fun for them. Yeah. So
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to say my vetting process was very deep and very thorough.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I acknowledge that it's not a usual circumstance, but you can create opportunities to spend, you know, a few hours with a person on a first date and really be intentional with the questions that you're asking and, what's important to you. Dig for that information
Well,
about.
women are encouraged not to do that because they're told, well, that's an interview process.
So what? Who's
Wait,
what?
wait, I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. Say that one more time.
So what?
Yeah, exactly.
Of course, it's an interview process. You're on a date. You don't want to waste time. You're
Yeah,
intentional, especially if you're online dating. It's there. You're there to meet serious relationship. It should be in your profile. If you're
yeah.
there to, attract a partner and you want a life partner, and like just be clear about what it is you want. That's already vetting, right? So this.
I don't know if you remember this story, but this was about 8 months ago. I had this woman who had connected with online, and she looked at my profile and I looked at hers, and like it tells you how many times you looked at each other's profiles. So I finally wrote her, and I wrote her a thorough I wrote her some questions because I saw some misalignment in
Mhm.
some things in our profiles. So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask about it. And then I saw that she read it, and a couple hours go by, she doesn't respond. A day goes by, she doesn't respond. A week goes by, she doesn't respond. A month goes by, she doesn't respond. And she responds almost a month and a half later.
Mm.
And she said, you know what? I was taken aback by what you wrote. She goes, I'm not used to anyone being serious. Like that was like her, like she goes, I really sat with him, and she goes, I realize you're serious. I'm so used to men who are not serious
Mhm.
that it took like there was this kind of irony that,
Well,
you
she's
know,
attracting men that aren't serious because there's
yeah,
a part of her, and it can be unconscious,
well,
that's also not serious.
interesting. Okay.
So when she got your response, she had nothing to give you back, you
Yeah.
know? So this is important because we are always either attracting what we are or repelling what we're not.
Okay.
It's one or the other. There's
So
no,
what was I doing when I wrote her?
well, I think you reached out because whatever, on some level you were attracted to her, right?
Yeah,
But she,
no, I was physically attracted. I was curious. This is where
curiosity is not the same.
curiosity gets me in trouble sometimes.
Well, that's where you have to be. Look, if you're serious, and I know you are, Jonathan, you got to get really serious about who you're reaching out to.
Yeah.
That means if for those of you that are dating online, look at a profile, and really sit with it and listen to your body.
Yeah.
Listen to your body. Read the questions, read the answers to the questions over and over again. Read the description. Don't let yourself get swept away by the energy of whatever the picture communicates or whatever I mean, who knows who's writing these profiles anyways, right? So
Yeah.
really sit in your body. And when you go on dates, you don't know if you're attracted to the person until you've had a physical encounter. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. You could be curious and interested in someone you meet online, but you're not attracted to them until you see them in person. Okay.
And actually, sometimes you need a couple visits with a person to really, because sometimes just even that initial attraction could be so different the second time you meet the person.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Give yourself 2 or 3 dates, make it a
Yeah.
3-date rule, and see if there's real chemistry there and really get intentional about who you're dating and who you're getting involved with,
Yeah.
because the things that bother you in the beginning, or those little things that bother us in the beginning, are always
Yeah.
things that take us out eventually,
Yeah.
right? Hi,
All right.
Annika.
Annika's got another question.
Yeah, sure.
Why don't you read it for us?
What if there's an energetic connection and a lot of compatibility, but the person is not ready for a relationship? How to look at that? Your thoughts. Okay. So
And
what
why did you manifest that type? I want to hear that part of the
Yeah.
story
Well,
too.
I mean, the first question I would ask you, Annika, is are you ready for a relationship?
Yeah.
Right? And is there a part of you that wonders whether or not, I always ask people this question, like, is there an unconscious belief that good things get taken away, or that
Mm.
love doesn't last, or that, it's not safe to love? What are some of your beliefs? I want you to examine your beliefs. Don't just look at, okay, I have this great chemistry with this guy and we have a lot of compatibility. You don't have compatibility if he doesn't want what you want. You
Yeah.
actually don't. All you have is chemistry. You have chemistry, and you maybe like the same things. You might be into the same things. You might be into the same activities, but that doesn't mean that you're attracted to each other. Okay.
Yeah.
Attraction means it meets at all points, right? It meets at all the points. It means that there's physical attraction, there's mental attraction, there's an emotional synergy. There is there's just a shared desire to merge. That's what attraction is. And so if that's not fully online, it's not really fully attraction, right?
Well, I think when she said, and by the way, I suspect when she said compatibility, like some boxes were checked off, but you can't, I mean, but it takes a while to really check a lot of boxes. I mean, you can't check them off on the first date, can you?
Well, I think you can check off the main ones, the foundation boxes. You know, are you ready for a relationship? You know, do you feel that you're capable of commitment? You know, do you
wait. Repeat that one. Do you feel you are capable of commitment? I'm just picturing how a man is going to respond to that one.
I would love to be a fly in the wall for that conversation. Do you have any? I asked both that. I'm like, do you have any commitment issues? Do you have any fear of commitment? You know, I mean, you know, we're parents, right? We're single parents. I mean, you know,
you don't have time to mess around.
We don't have time to mess around. And when you have small children, it's a different scenario too, you know.
I've once asked a woman, I was briefly in a relationship with a woman who had significant trust issues. Her father left her and her brother, left her mother and the children. She was like 14, 13 years old was the brother. And he left it for another family, like completely abandoned her and her brother and mother. And so she had major trust issues. And I'm the worst person to date if you have trust issues, given what I do for a living. I mean, I talk to women all day long, and she would just lose it, kind of like if I even liked a person's picture, like a client's photograph, it was like it turned into World War. I mean, it turned into
you were a gift to her. You were such a gift to her because you illuminated all these triggers, right? That allowed her to look and see where she needed healing, right? That's what the relationship, and we've talked about this.
My point for sharing that story is ever since then, I haven't done it for quite some time. Like my first question was, do you have trust issues?
I think it's a great question. And I think it's a valid question.
Okay. But on some level, doesn't that question come from a place of fear or like there's a negativity with asking that question? Like it's already.
I think no, because it's all in how you say it. You say you don't. I mean, first of all, I would phrase it differently. I would phrase it in a nonviolent way. Is I really
a nonviolent way to ask that question.
I'm really interested in meeting someone who is capable of vulnerability and trust and fully immersing themselves in a love experience. This is one of my requirements,
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't. Oh, I'm sorry, Sabrina. I'm going to challenge you on that. That doesn't reek anything of saying, do you have trust issues?
Yes, it does.
I don't think so.
I want to create a relationship with someone who's capable of trusting. Is that you? Are you capable of
capable of trusting?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a different way.
Are you willing to trust love? Are you a person who's willing to trust the process of falling in love and giving yourself over to a process that you have no control over? Right?
All right. So Bridge says whatever question you ask, people can lie and say what you want to hear.
Yes,
what about that?
And then you're going to listen to your body because you can feel the truth when it's being spoken and you can feel when you're being lied to. If you're not too busy being distracted by the looks or the whatever peripheral things are going on, if you really listen to your body, this is what I want to leave people with, okay? So if you want to attract love, examine what you believe about love, how you feel about love, get your intuition online with feeling the energy of whatever the person is communicating to you, and examine the actions you take throughout the day that express your love to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. These are the things. What are my beliefs about love? How do I feel about love? What actions am I taking that actually prove that I'm lovable?
Yeah.
Those are the three things. Do those three things and you'll get yourself online and you'll be attracting love at your standards. Okay. Can you share with me some examples of what trust looks and feels like to you. Okay.
I think that's the question to maybe ask somebody.
Oh, okay. I thought you were asking me. I was
No,
gonna say,
no, I was just thinking that might be a question.
yeah,
That might be a good question to ask. Can you
I
share
mean, that's
examples
an
of what
excellent,
trust and looks
that's an
trust
excellent
feels?
question. What does trust feel like to you? What does it
Yeah,
mean to you? You know,
yeah,
also a very open-ended question. And here, let's just put ourselves, just playing devil's advocate, put yourself in that scenario of dating. You know, when you're with someone where there's a strong physical attraction and you're
yeah,
starting to dig deeper into these harder questions, you know,
yes,
this is where people start to sort of, you know, the representatives here, you know, it's not
yeah,
the authentic self that's really expressing their
yeah,
fears, right? And so we have to trust that people are being honest with us. And this is where I really want you to trust your body, because you're going to feel if you're being lied to. Okay.
yeah.
And then, you know, say like, you know, like, can you share what, if we talk about trust, you know, what are some examples of trust in a relationship for you? Give me some concrete examples of what it looks like to trust another person in love, right? That is a more pointed question where you're
I
asking to give you real
All
info.
right. So, okay, I'm I'm doing a little devil's advocate with you. So
Good.
you have what I will affectionately call ninja level communication skills, okay? In other words, you embody this, and when you met Bo, it was easy because he embodied it. But I would say these deeper questions oftentimes are many people are just afraid to ask these on a first date because they're going to fear rejection. They're going to fear retaliation. I mean, you know, whatever that is. I suspect a lot of people have fear around these deeper questions.
Okay, so here's the thing. Whatever you're afraid of,
Yeah,
okay, you're bringing into your life. You're bringing that into your life. So if you are afraid to ask deep questions, you
yeah.
have no business trying to create long-term, loving, vulnerable, romantic, lifelong partnership.
Ooh, man, that oof.
If you then you're just you
By the way,
should be
I'm
just
not afraid. I'm not afraid,
right, but
but
you
I
should
think a
okay,
lot.
so let's backtrack a second.
Okay.
Even less complicated than the trust question is just sit across the person that you're dating and say, you know, what are some of your biggest fears in a
Yeah.
relationship? That's a better question, because this fear is the primary emotion. I have trust
Oh,
issues
so
means that there's a fear there, right?
I
So
did that. By the way, I shot a video. I
mhm,
said that exact same thing. Literally, by the way, that's a question I ask all my clients. What's your
yeah.
greatest fear around relationship? And I ask that from anyone that I'm considering on a romantic level for me. And I brought that up in a video, and the chat box was like, that's way too intense of a question to ask a guy.
If you're afraid to ask a guy intense questions, then first of all, he's not your guy, because
Yeah.
there's something about you, your nervous system, that feels dysregulated in his presence. You don't feel safe. Okay. And second of all, you maybe are not asking yourself that question,
Yeah.
right? Like we have to go into this relationship, you know,
Yeah.
situation, whatever it is we're calling in love. It's got to be a fearless pursuit, right? It
Yeah.
has to be something that we're doing without fear. If you're ready and you're embodying love and you're open to love and connection and you're open to doing, because relationships are work, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, Bo and I came together easily, and we work at it. It's not like it's not work, you know. There's triggers that come up, there's things that come up, like there's things that we've had to deal with. We've had to deal with our own fears in this relationship, and we hold space for each other. Makes sense? But you have to be willing to go to those places within
Yeah.
yourself, your own fears, in order to create that juicy, connected, intimate
Yeah.
love, you know.
By the way, I have a dear friend of mine. He's really into true crime and all that kind of stuff. And I know that, you know, I'm not talking about negativity here, but we were watching, he and I were watching an FBI interrogator interrogating a potential murder suspect. I'm bringing this up because at first the interrogator created a safe container of just building a little bit of rapport, little bit of trust with the suspect, if you will. And little by little, systematically, the questions got to be more and more advanced, more details. And within 6 hours, he got to the truth. He
Yeah.
got the person to confess.
Yeah.
My point is the whole goal is to get to the truth of another person. That's what we want. Is I want to know the truth of who you are.
Right. And so the
We're
best
not going to be able to do that just sitting and having a good time and being romanced all day long. My point is asking deeper questions is how we
asking
get to
deeper
the truth.
questions and also show up in the truth.
Yeah.
Show up in the truth. Like, hey,
Mm.
I'm happy to be here. I'm attracted to you. This is my stuff. I've been cheated on. I've been lied to. I've been betrayed. I've been this. I've been that. I mean, these are things I'm working through. These are some of my deepest fears. Would you be willing to share some of yours? Just lead with that and then ask, and people
What
will meet you.
Bonnie said.
My favorite question on a first date with an online guy would be, what are you afraid I'll find out about you? Or what don't you want me to know about yourself? The courageous. Yeah.
So by the way, Bonnie's reflecting. I had a couple on last week
Uh-huh.
who Dr. Wendy Walsh and her now husband. And that was the question she asked him on a first date. And it turned out he was in prison for 1 year for financial fraud.
Oh.
And like the fact that he had the bravery to share that, she actually saw that as real vulnerability. By the way, he did therapy while he was there. He's done so much work on himself.
Doesn't matter what a person's been through. If you have
Yeah.
integrity and you've made reparations with yourself and with your environment to get on the right track, then that speaks volumes about who a person is, So be willing. First of all, there should not be anything about you that you're afraid to share. If there is, then there's some healing work to do around self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance, Thank you, Sally. And so, it's all about how much do you love and accept yourself exactly as you are, with all of your warts and all of your wounds and all of your past mistakes and regrets and so on. How much do you really accept yourself in love, right? What is your belief about yourself in love? How do you feel about yourself in love? What actions are you taking to show up in love every day? All right. And then do the same exercise around the person. How do you feel about love with this person? How does it feel in your body, right? What is the belief? How does it feel in your body? What are the actions? Just use this 3-step method to unblock yourself so that you can be online with what you really want. And this is going to take some courage, but love takes courage. It takes a lion heart to really build that loving, sustainable partnership. And I always say this every time I come in your show: don't look for someone that you can date, look for someone that you can grow with.
Yeah. By the way, Giselle says, Jonathan, Sabrina, I love this live, very informative, inspirational. God bless you. Well, thank you.
God bless you too.
So, okay, really quickly, what were those 3 things again?
Examine your belief about love. Examine your feelings.
Examine your feelings.
How does it feel in your body? Examine your actions.
Examine your actions.
Okay. How do you, what your belief about your own lovability, how do you feel about yourself in love? What actions are you taking to prove that you're lovable to yourself? Okay. Do the self work first, and then use those same questions to vet the potential person that you're considering being in a relationship with. Listen, I've been on dates with people. I mean, I haven't dated much in my life, but I've been on dates with people where, I felt that they were physically attractive, but I didn't feel, safe in their presence. I felt anxious, I felt nervous, or I felt like there's something about this person's energy that's not, it's not inviting for me. Right. So it's really important to trust your body's response. And if you feel calm and centered and safe in the presence of another person, that's a big green flag.
Yeah. Well, chemistry sometimes blocks, can cloud our judgment. It can mess with us, especially when hormones and pheromones and all that stuff is going off. And so I know one thing you and I have talked about in the peace process is getting centered. Yes. And I think getting centered before you even go on a date would be a great way to start.
100%. Well. Meditate, set your intention, get very clear on the kind of experience you want to have. Thank you, Annika. It's nice to see you. It's get really clear about what you want to manifest. And when you go out, sometimes you come out of a meditation and you're all zenned out, and then all of a sudden something happens and it'll trigger you. Right. So This is a great practice. It's a great litmus test. Do your manifesting love meditation before you go on dates, and then see if the energy matches how you feel. Right. Or if it completely triggers you and takes you out. Make sense? This is how we learn to examine energetic frequencies, and if we're a match for them or not, how they
Yeah.
feel in their bodies. Okay. So do that work to really set yourself up powerfully so that when you go on dates, you know, you can either feel like this person is exactly where you are or nowhere close.
By the way, I'm curious about something because someone made a comment about intense questions. You know, to me, deep, meaningful questions is only intense to a person who isn't able to receive deep, meaningful questions. A person who is capable of receiving deep, meaningful questions doesn't view that as intense because they're in a the only person who is going to view it as intense is a person who can't receive those questions.
100%. There's no judgment. You know, there's no such thing as an intense question. If someone wants to know something about me, ask me anything you want. Ask me anything you want, because I have no shame. I have no fear. I have no guilt. I have no regrets about anything in my life. And so you can ask me anything you want and I'll share it with you, especially if I'm trying to get to know someone that I want to pursue, that I feel attracted to, that I feel there's a value system, there's a match. There's no such thing as an intense question. The more intense the question, the better, because it means this person is serious, right?
Yeah.
It's serious.
And by the way, and let's reframe the word intense. We'll just say deep and meaningful, you know, which is a more empowered way of looking at it. But to anybody who views it as intense, they probably aren't capable of deep and meaningful conversation.
100%. And that could be the male or the female.
Yeah. So Sabrina, you have a YouTube channel.
I do.
That you have once a week, every Wednesday night, you do something called Oracle Hour. Can you share that and share anything else about the work you do?
Yes, I have a fledgling YouTube channel that's been growing over the last couple of months. I do what's called the Oracle Hour. It's every Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific.
It's live, so they can ask questions.
It's live. You can come and ask me questions. I channel intuitive guidance. I connect you to your spirit guides. I give spirit messages. I give people advice and guidance on their healing path, healing journey. And so it's free on the spot, live intuitive guidance. And I do readings for people, which is great. I really enjoy it. I have a nice little community growing. So for those of you that are interested in coming and getting some intuitive guidance or getting some psychic hits, then come check me out on YouTube.
I'll post the link in the first comment, and I'll post the link in the show notes as well, so you can go to Sabrina's YouTube channel. And of course, they can check you out at your website, Intuitive.
Of course. I have actually I have an upcoming masterclass on Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific it's a facilitator training certification program. So for people who are in the intuitive healing arts, who want to learn how to become coaches and guides and healers and mediums and intuitives, we have a class for you. So there's a link to that in my website as well.
Okay. Well, thank you. You know what? I haven't had a chance to see you. I need to give you a big, gigantic hug of congratulations for you and Bo. I'm so excited for you. Folks, I've met Bo. He is an amazing human being. You really picked a good one, and he picked a good one too. So you guys are really special couple. And I'm grateful that you came on and shared your wisdom and help everybody remove these blocks so they can attract a really amazing partner.
Love is possible for every single one of us. We all have a person. So
by the way, Giselle, I just subscribed to your channel, Sabrina. I love your insights. Yay.
I'll see you tomorrow night.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, everyone. Oh, I want to just say, Bonnie says, yes, John, exactly. I've been told I'm intense. Consider that a compliment.
Yes, it is.
She goes on to say deep and meaningful. Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, everyone. We're going to sign off for tonight. I want to give everyone a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug of appreciation. If I have your permission, wishing you all a super duper wonderful, fantastic evening. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye, Sabrina.
Bye.